Welcome, thanks for joining me. In this video, I'm gonna have a direct conversation with you, the audience. Whether you're new here or you've been around for a long time and know our shtick, I'm gonna pose some questions to you before this video is over. But before I get into that, I wanna talk about 2025. I wanna talk to you about our changing philosophy, or my own personal philosophy. And a lot of this started quite a while ago. And just as a history lesson, I'm sure you've heard this before, but back when I had a traditional job, I'd come home from work and I had a finite amount of time to invest in watching TV, movies, music, whatever, social media, YouTube. And I wanted to choose content that would either entertain me or relax me or hopefully educate me on the way things worked. And in the case of social media or YouTube, I found it very hard in the tech space or automotive to find the content that I really wanted to see. And that was the driving force for me to start this. While it did start as a hobby, and I knew my way around a camera a bit, and editing, which is nowhere near what it is now, I wanted to tamper with that idea of could I create the very things that I wanted to watch? And that was the driving force of how these videos have progressed. In the past 3 years, we've managed to meet some of the most talented people I've ever met in my life. And it's funny that it's all happened in this short period of time. I just think it's a byproduct of growth, age, whatever, reach. And in doing so, I've seen some things that I didn't expect to see. In my own personal career, the best jobs I ever had was when I had really strong leadership. Leadership that had very talented people that didn't see things the way that I saw them, that they could open my eyes to new ways of doing things. And more importantly, those who worked very, very hard, harder than me, or demanded that I raise my level of work ethic to theirs or even more. And even though I may not have liked them personally and I wasn't friends with them outside of work, I had a massive amount of respect for what they did. And they recruited or had people on the team that also pushed me in new directions, or I could push them in different philosophies. And those were really the best jobs I ever had and the best work that I ever did, even though the work may have been it could be gone today. It's just worthless. You could flush it down a toilet. But that amount of accomplishment that I had working in that space and working with those teams were the best jobs. So I've seen the best, and again, talking to some of these people in the automotive space and tech space that are capable of doing that in leagues above. I've seen how it's done and have a better appreciation of how it's done. And my goal is to share those lessons with you guys and the people that are watching this, so you could take away some of these things and have a better appreciation on the back end. And I'm completely aware that you may not like the brand, you may not like the people, but if you can take away a little bit that educational part of how they got to like this, how this is created, or how a car is created, or just understanding that big successful product wasn't just the sum of one leadership or one manager or a president of a company. It was all the hundreds or thousands of people in the back end that sweated all those details that made it great. And in the same amount of time, or if not longer, we've been exposed to brands and cars and products that are absolute garbage cans. They're the byproduct of bad leadership or those who shouldn't be on their jobs anymore, that have been there way too long or too stubborn to change. They keep their buddy system of equally bad people around, or workers that don't want to be there. They're burned out just collecting a paycheck. They're just kind of stuck in their jobs. And this idea of mediocrity just carries on from product to product. And, it's that balance of seeing both sides. And I have a better appreciation for both too, because I've been in jobs where I just didn't care either. I got burned out. I stayed there too long, and everything I did sucked. Every job I did was half-ass. So I get both ends, and our job here, creating this content, is to call and put light on both of those things, the best and the worst, and to talk about them honestly. And that's it. Really, that's what we're trying to do. In 25, I think we're going to run into the challenges of certain things. And the challenges are the media space is exploded, and exploded in a way that even like 10, 15 years ago you would never have expected. There's so many people doing the same thing, and this is nothing new. This has always been the way it is from products as well. You have one person or a group of people that are successful at their little thing, and then you have 1,000 other people that are bandwagoning at, stealing that, and like, oh, I can be successful doing the same thing, that formulaic approach. And doing the car work that we're doing, we see this all the time, and it gets really tiring. You're like, why did you do this? Well, this is what people want. Okay, this is what was successful here. And it's not about trying to do it differently. It's just that latching on to success. And in the media space, it's even worse because it's just you're flooded and flooded and flooded full of content and just so much. And you have to weed through to find decent things. And that's becoming more tiring to deal with. And we deal with media too all the time that you see the same thing. They're working at a very low level. They don't understand how things work. And you're still fighting with those very same people for the same amount of access. So it's become more frustrating, but it's also, again, we're not owed anything, right? We're not entitled to anything. We continue have to work hard, not only to keep people watching, but to work with people that are hyper intelligent and to try to get them to understand what we're trying to do so we can work together. Now, we're still ad supported by YouTube. We are supported by Patreon. Those are our primary sources of funding. And what's most important here is it's not about the company or the brand or the product or even some of the commercials we do. Like for TuxMat, we're lucky to have a lot of fun with that, where we could literally get something back and then to help talk about a product in a funny way. That's my favorite thing to do if I'm going to get funding on the side. But in the case of the viewers, right, like I have to sweat those details so the viewers aren't just turned off, but we also have to make sure you're happy watching. And this is where those questions come in. And most importantly, where are we failing? And question one, where are we failing? What can we do better? And where are those areas of improvement? And what do you want to see more of? And I understand that we're not going to make everybody happy. But if you could comment on that, I will read through every single one. The second question is where do you see this space? Where do you see the media space going? Is it good? Is it bad? What do you think about some of the mainstream media outlets? Like even those, the buff books, right? Motor Trend, Car and Driver, those who have now that are corporately owned. Where do you see that space going? And how do you feel about the media you're consuming in general? Like, what do you like and dislike about it? And I think that's going to start the discussion. And through all those comments in our next live stream, we're going to kind of talk about this space and some of the people that we've met. And this year, we're going to try to bring all of that together. Have more of those people on, bring their stories to light, talk about how things work, and try to make the improvements that you're recommending. And this is really important to me personally, and I really appreciate your time. Again, that's what this is about. Us trying to have fun and passion and to deliver something that is not a waste of your time, and hopefully we can keep this going. So thank you to everybody watching, and of course those in the industry that have helped support us, and other people in the media that are doing a great job as well. Thank you to everybody, and we'll talk to you soon.